And welcome to Hannity. We begin tonight with a Fox News alert. Police body cam footage showing the attack against Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, will be released, we expect, at any moment. Now, thanks to a ruling from a California judge, as soon as this video becomes available, we, of course, will show it to you right here on this program. Also, stay tuned tonight. The great one, Mark Levin, will be with us. We have the Hannity hot seat. Last call tonight. A liberal socialist that called my radio show today. Got very interesting. We'll see what grade we get. But first, we begin tonight on Capitol Hill, where two middle-aged men from California are literally throwing a temper tantrum. You got Eric Swalwell and Adam Schiff, the congenital liar, likely still quivering with rage after learning that their relationship and their membership to the all-powerful House Intelligence Committee is no more. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy removed them from this committee, and for good reason. According to reports, Congressman Swalwell, well, remember, he was once a patsy for the Chinese government after getting seduced by a woman named Fang Fang. You can't even make this up in a novel, an undercover agent for the Communist Party of China. Unfortunately, this was not a one-night stand, apparently a full-blown relationship. In fact, there are the two lovebirds right there together for quite some time, and the Chinese spy even helped Eric raise money for his re-election. Adam, the congenital liar Schiff, well, meanwhile, he didn't manage to have any special relations with any Chinese spies. Who can blame them? But he was duped by a Putin-linked Russian radio show. Remember during that recorded phone call with the Russian pranksters? Adam Schiff, absolutely giddy. So we wanted to hear all about the compromising materials, pictures, and then naked Trump. And as you can see, Schiff and Swalwell, they're easily duped, but they are also notorious liars in a big way. Now, perhaps no one pushed the Russia hoax more than these two con men. Now, to this day, Swalwell's congressional website is littered with confusing charts and videos, and straight ahead from a fever dream, purportedly, connecting dots on all that Trump-Russia collusion. That never happened. Meanwhile, for years, Adam Schiff, he booked himself pretty much on every fake news show that would have him. He told the world that the president of the United States, then Donald Trump, was colluding with Russia, and Schiff promised that he personally saw direct evidence of this collusion. That never happened, including ample evidence in plain sight, evidence that was more than circumstantial. Both men claim they had special access to this evidence because of their membership on the House Intel Committee. They were flat out lying. No evidence at all of Trump-Russia collusion. It didn't exist. It never happened. No one in their right mind should ever want these two lying idiots anywhere near America's top secrets. But don't take my word for it. Let's just listen to Speaker McCarthy, his powerful beatdown to a clueless PBS reporter. Look at this.
You just told us you are keeping Adam Schiff, removing him from the
Intel Committee. Is Santos on the Intel Committee? Am I allowing Schiff to be on other committees? Go right ahead. Respectfully,
thank you. You said that lying to us is something that means you should be removed from the Intelligence Committee, but why is it not a factor?
Well, let me be very
clear. This is a man who should not be on committee, something you do have power of.
He's got elected by his district, so. Okay, let me be very clear and respectful to you. You ask me a question. When I answer it, it's the answer to your question. You don't get to determine whether I answer your question or not, okay? In all respect. Thank you. No, let's answer her question. You just raised a question. I'm going to be very clear with you. The Intel Committee is different. You know why? Because what happens in the Intel Committee, you don't know. What happens in the Intel Committee, although the secrets are going on in the world, other members of Congress don't know. What did Adam Schiff do as the chairman of the Intel Committee? What Adam Schiff did, use his power as a chairman and lie to the American public. Even the Inspector General said it. But I will not be like Democrats and play politics with these, where they removed Republicans from committees and all committees. So yes, he can serve on a committee, but he will not serve on Intel because it goes to the national security of America. And I will always put them first, all right? And if you want to talk about Swalwell, let's talk about Swalwell, because you have not had the briefing that I had. I had the briefing and Nancy Pelosi had the briefing from the FBI. The FBI never came before this Congress to tell the leadership of this Congress that Eric Swalwell had a problem with a Chinese spy until he served on Intel. So it wasn't just us who were concerned about it. The FBI was concerned about putting a member of Congress on the Intel committee that has the rights to see things that others don't because of his knowledge and relationship with a Chinese spy. But you know what? Those voters elected Schiff, even though he lied. Those voters elected Swalwell, even though he lied to the American public too. So you know what? I'll respect his voters too, and they'll serve on committees, but they will not serve on a place that has national security relevance because integrity matters to me. That's the answer to your question.
All right, Oos, that's how to battle a corrupt media mob. Now, needless to say, Schiff and Swalwell are not happy that they have been exposed. In fact, Swalwell wants you to believe that McCarthy's words are putting his life at risk. And Schiff thinks that Congress has been degraded. Take a look.
Hypocrisy is probably the least of Mr. McCarthy's sins. The most significant impact is that he is continuing this destructive trend set by his party leader of tearing down our institutions, of degrading the Congress.
This is purely about political vengeance. The cost is not only removing us from the committee. On the Intelligence Committee, the cost is not only breaking, shattering the most precious glassware in the cabinet, a committee that's always been bipartisan. The cost are the death threats that Ms. Omar, myself, and Mr. Schiff keep getting because Mr. McCarthy continues to aim and project these smears against us. Even though we have said publicly these smears are bringing death threats, he continues to do it, which makes us believe that there's an intent behind it.
All right, so where was the breathless hysteria in the last Congress when Democrats removed Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar from every committee because of some objectionable social media posts? Were those death threats, too? Those nice emails, texts that my staff gets about me, would they be considered death threats? I might consider they might be. Anyway, where was the hysteria when Nancy Pelosi blocked Jim Jordan and Jim Banks from serving on the January 6th committee? Where was that outrage? Where was the hysteria when Pelosi called Republicans racist enemies of the state who are coming for your children? Don't believe me? Take a look.
They're coming after your children. Protect your children from what they're trying to do.
It is absolutely essential for our democracy that we win. I fear for our democracy if the Republicans were ever to get the gavel.
I don't paint all of those very wealthy people as racist, anti-Semites, and whatever Trumpian, but that's how they vote.
Millions, hundreds of thousands of people will die if this bill passes.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue with their allies in the Congress of the United States. It's really actually shameful. Enemies of the state.
Maybe Nancy Pelosi ought to bring in the exorcist that she brought into her house all over Washington, D.C. Obviously, none of this bothers Eric Swalwell because it's not directed at him. The small-minded, narcissistic congressman from California really only cares about his own feelings. So please be kind to him during this very trying time. He's triggered. And keep in mind, Schiff and Swalwell are more than welcome to join another committee. So is squad member Omar, who is also in jeopardy of losing her assignment on the Foreign Affairs Committee. Many want Omar removed, rightly so, because of her past anti-Semitic remarks, including that tweet right there. Israel has hypnotized the world. May Allah awaken the people and help them see the evil doings of Israel. Now, Democrats actually backed a resolution condemning her history of anti-Semitism, but now they're bashing Republicans for daring to remove her from the Foreign Affairs Committee, not a committee she should be on. If Democrats wanted full control over their members' committee assignments, well, they shouldn't have banned Republicans from committees during the last Congress. They set the precedent. Now they want to whine and complain and cry and act like a victim. Pretty disgusting. Time to grow up. Spare the country the drama. Instead, maybe send McCarthy a thank you note for keeping our country safe by removing these two morons from the Intel Committee. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.